real quick before I start this review, this is a review just like all my other movie reviews, but I kind of just felt like playing Spider-Man 2 since they just added the brand new day suit into there, so that's why there's Spider-Man 2 gameplay on this. I just felt like playing the game after watching the movie. Anyways, enjoy. Alright, just got back from watching Spider-Man Brand New Day in the theaters. One of my most anticipated movies of this year that I was a little bit worried about, but overall I felt pretty confident that it was going to be good. Just based on, I don't think there's a single bad live-action Spider-Man movie except Spider-Man 3. I like all the other ones to varying degrees, but like at the very least, I didn't think this was going to be a bad movie. I thought it might be mid. They might have took on too much based on a lot of the shit I was seeing, a lot of what was people were saying, but I was overall hopeful. I was fucking optimistic for this movie. All right, let me just start off by saying I absolutely loved this movie. I loved it. And I just want to make that clear before I go into spoilers. The rest of this is all going to be spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, go watch the movie. Now, starting with the plot, spoilers. So, the plot of this movie is basically after No Way Home, you know, everybody forgot Peter Parker, who he is, and he's been being Spider-Man alone for 5 years, I think. He's taken out alone, and he's, you know, suppressing his feelings of depression, basically, because he's completely isolated himself from everybody, and all he does is work. He watches MJ and Ned for, like, you know, their live streams, sometimes sees them in person, but never like talks to them, just like from afar. Yeah, so all that starts catching up to him, and his body starts mutating due to the stress and feelings, kind of like Spider-Man 2. And you know, at the same time, you have this new villain. He doesn't know who she is, but she's mind controlling all these different people, taking over everybody's bodies, and she knows who Peter is, and you know, she's just causing all this destruction. And for a lot of the movie, you're trying to figure out who is this villain and what is her motive, right? I'm not going to explain the whole plot. That's the bare bones plot right there. In terms of plot, this was probably the best, like, script, you know, just looking at the script, not really the way things are written, just the plots. Probably the best one in Tom Holland's 4 movies. The only one that comes close is Homecoming, and like Homecoming has a lot of flaws, but if you just look at the plot alone of that movie, I think it's really solid. Whereas, you know, Far From Home and No Way Home have a lot of easier things I could point out that are the fault of the plot itself, not the writing, not the way things are delivered, not the action, not all this other shit, just the plot. This one is really strong, and it makes room for a lot of just incredibly impactful moments that are some of the best in any Spider-Man movie ever. The whole first like 10 or 20 minutes when you get to see Spider-Man, you know what, I'm foregoing the structure for this one because there's just so much I want to say. I'm going to take the movie, if anything, I'm going to go in order from like beginning to end. So the first 10 minutes of this movie, you're seeing Spider-Man being Spider-Man, and it's so refreshing because for the first time since TASM 2, it feels like I'm seeing a Spider-Man who knows what he's doing. You know, Tom Holland's movies 1, 2, and 3, Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home, they're all kind of like an origin story for his character. Like, it's all him learning to be Spider-Man in high school. It's not till like the end of No Way Home when it feels like he finally has a grasp on things. You're not seeing the experienced Spider-Man, not even experienced. You're not even seeing a Spider-Man who really fully knows what he's doing for any of those movies. So to finally see it was so satisfying. And not only do you see a Spider-Man who is experienced, but you see a Spider-Man who has connections with villains on the street, with allies like Punisher, with allies like the police force. He has a relationship with the police captain. They know each other. They work with each other. He has a relationship with the Punisher. You know, they're like unlikely allies. I don't know how the best way to say that. They have a really good dynamic the whole movie. He has relationships with all of his villains. Like when he's fighting them in like the montage at the beginning, they know him. They're like, oh, we're doing this again, Spider-Man. They're just there. You know, people were saying like, this movie has so many villains. How are they gonna balance it all? Well, not every villain needed to play a huge role. A lot of them were just there because that's how the world is. Like, these villains don't just disappear when it's not their turn to be in the spotlight. Like, they're scheming always. They're running little schemes, you know. He runs into the beginning of the movie, Tombstone and Scorpion and the Hand, all at the beginning just doing their regular bullshit, and he takes care of them. And throughout the movie, you know, the Scorpion is there again later on doing his bullshit. The Hand's there again doing their bullshit. That's how it should be. That the world feels so alive. It feels like genuinely straight out of a comic. All these characters are just. This was something I liked a lot about what the DCU was doing, where it feels like this world is already existing. This version of New York, feels like it's already existing. It's like you're catching a glimpse into an important moment for sure, but just a glimpse into the week of being Spider-Man. Like, he has to deal with all these different villains. He has to work with all these different allies. You have the new Black Widow from the MCU. She's in there too, and she doesn't feel forced. You know, he goes to her because he thinks that she might have some information regarding this specific thing that she would have information on about mind control, because she has a history of mind control. You know, it's not like they stop existing when it's not their movie. They're still there. If I was Spider-Man, I would go to her too, because she has experience with mind control. I need to figure out what's going on with mind control, so I'd go to her, and it works out. It doesn't feel forced. It feels like in a live world that is interconnected without having to be forced. You know, it's not like you have to watch Thunderbolts to understand what's going on with Black Widow in this movie. You could just watch this movie and just be like, okay, I guess this is a character who has some experience with mind control. And it works. I love the world in this movie, genuinely. And more than just the world, the way it exists, it's super colorful. This whole movie has color, like bright colors everywhere, and there's so many gorgeous shots. That's one thing I loved about No Way Home. There's a lot of gorgeous shots in No Way Home. This movie has a lot of gorgeous shots, but it also has the color and the comic book feel that I would want from a Spider-Man movie. Anyways, I want to talk about some of the characters for a bit. The main character in this movie, by far, obviously, Peter Parker, takes up a shit ton of the screen time, and this is the best version of, like I said, based on what I was saying, you know, I think this is the best version of Peter Parker in the Tom Holland movies for sure. Best version of Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Peter Parker, seeing him not just be like a kid for once. He's not like, you know, in Homecoming and Far From Home, he's like a student. He's just being mentored, especially in Homecoming. And Far From Home, it's like the shadow of Tony Stark. But then you also have Mysterio, who kind of plays the mentor figure. And again, in No Way Home, he's being mentored by the other two older Spider-Men, so he never has a chance where it's just him alone. But in this movie, you get to see him fully, you know, become himself. And not only, like I was saying, in the other movies, he never gets left alone. In this movie, he is alone for a lot of the movie. And just the way it's played, Tom Holland did such a good job acting, which I've always liked Tom Holland, but I would never say, like, I would never watch a Tom Holland movie and be like, oh yeah, that acting was incredible. But I think this is honestly like one of the best performances he's ever done. Just the feelings he manages to portray. There's a scene in the movie where Peter Parker goes and he follows Ned. He runs into him, I can't remember where, and he follows him back to a party, and Ned and MJ are there, and so is all of these other people. And you know, Peter Parker, he's been basically isolated for 5 years just being Spider-Man, and when he's not Spider-Man, he's working on tech. He sees these guys, and he doesn't know how to communicate with them. He's like very awkward and lacks the communication skills that you would expect for someone who hasn't really had any relationships with anybody for 5 years. And it's not overdone like in the way where I love all the old Spider-Man movies, don't get me wrong, but Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker was so over the top awkward. Like, there's so many scenes. I could say this because I rewatched every live action Spider-Man movie in anticipation for this movie. There's so many scenes in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man where like somebody says something and it pans to him and he's just staring at the camera like with his mouth open. And it, like, I get what they're trying to say, like, yeah, he's an awkward kind of nerdy guy, but it's so overplayed where you can't take it seriously. And then you have like Andrew's Peter Parker, where to me he was just way too edgy, and but like almost so edgy that it comes off unbelievably fake. In this movie, it feels like a realistic portrayal of somebody who doesn't really know how to communicate with people, as you would expect, because like I said, he's been away for 5 years just doing Spider-Man things. So he's at this party and he's struggling to make conversation with MJ and Ned because he doesn't have that experience anymore. You know, he's a loner now. And on top of that, obviously, you know, he's going to struggle to talk to MJ and Ned because he has that history with them that they don't remember. But other than that, too, at the party, he's just awkward. He's like walking around, doesn't really have a place to be. And so I think the characterization of Peter Parker in this movie is great. And he looks so good, too. It's just like you finally see him as an adult. It's so satisfying, man, to finally see this full evolution happen. But yeah, Peter Parker's good in this movie, but you don't see him as much as you see Spider-Man, obviously. And Spider-Man in this movie, I don't know if I'd say it's as good as Andrew's Spider-Man, which to me is by far the best live-action Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield's not the best movie, not at all, but like the best portrayal of Spider-Man in live action probably was Chasm 2. This one, I feel like Tom Holland took influence from Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man and how he wanted to act in the suit in this movie. He's one thing I noticed when watching TASM back again 1 and 2 is the way Andrew Garfield portrays Spider-Man in the suit is very like he moves his arms everywhere, and he's super expressive with his body when he's talking. When somebody's talking to him, he's throwing his arms all over the place and he's moving his head, and it makes him feel so animated. And on top of that, he has this kind of like New Yorker accent, not fully, but enough to like mask his voice. And another thing Andrew Garfield had was he was very quippy. I think watching this movie, that's what Tom Holland literally, I remember in an interview he was saying like he looked back at what people liked about the other movies and he took them and tried to apply them to this movie. I could see that because in this movie there's a lot of scenes where he's doing the same thing that I only saw Andrew Garfield do, where it's like he's moving his whole body when he's talking, not just when he's acting during important moments, just when he's talking. His whole body is expressive, and he took on a different voice when he's in the mask this time, similar to the one Andrew Garfield had, which was great. And there's a lot of quips in this movie too. So I don't think he reaches the exact same highs as Andrew Garfield, but it's probably the second best portrayal of Spider-Man in the suit out of any other movie. It's really, he really improved a lot. Like I genuinely believe when he was saying that he looked back at the other movies that he did, because you watch this movie and it's very clear that he took some influence from Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Other characters you have, man, I could keep talking about Spider-Man too, because this whole movie is about, you know, Peter Parker trying to be Spider-Man and alone because he doesn't want anybody to get hurt. And yeah, that's obviously a good point. Like, you don't want anybody to get hurt, but later on in the movie they say exactly why, and it's because like he tells MJ like, you know, after Aunt May died, I lost somebody and I can't lose somebody again. That's why like it wasn't just a decision, like a spur of the moment decision where he's like, you know what, it might be easier if I didn't have people around me because then I wouldn't have to worry about anybody. It was, yeah, I saw my aunt die, and I think because of that, I can't have that happen to me again. I don't want to be with anybody again. There was a good explanation for it. Also, he has in this movie, you know, all these organic webs and these mutations going on, the black eyes, the organic webs, heightened senses, and he kind of loses his spider sense, which doesn't really make sense to me because he has heightened senses. It's literally called spider sense. Like, that's part of it. Why would he lose his spider sense but all of his other senses be heightened? I don't know, but that was something that was going on in this movie. Honestly, the losing, yeah, that played a big part in this movie, him losing his powers, mutating. But in a way, I feel like they focused a lot on his mutations in the first hour maybe of the movie, and then for the next hour they really didn't come back to it until the fight with the hand at the end, when his web shooters broke and he had to rely on his mutations, which when he finally embraced them, basically. Like, things were still going on in the background with people talking to him and he was trying to figure out what to do about them, but he wasn't directly using those mutations for a good entire middle section of this movie, which isn't really a complaint, but it's worth mentioning. Anyways, other characters, I think there's a few characters worth mentioning. I think the Punisher, I did not expect him to have as big a role in this movie as he did. I mean, he is probably the character with the second most screen time besides Spider-Man. I might be wrong, but I feel like that sounds right. And I loved seeing him in the movie. You know, the way it starts off with him in the truck and Spider-Man like takes his gun and he pulls out another gun. He kind of got played off for comic relief. I was like, whatever. They kind of, you know, he's not as Punisher as I'd want him to be. It feels like they kind of made him like kid friendly. But you see him for the rest. He's so in there so much, and they team up too. There's a team up scene where they're fighting the Hulk, and like Spider-Man's like pulling him with strings as he's like shooting the Hulk. It's great. Like, there's so many great scenes with the Punisher and like the relationship that they have together. They're constantly arguing, but you could tell, especially with the way the movie ended, that they really care about each other. It's I really think they did a good job fitting his character into this movie. I'd love to see that more and more MCU movies, where you fit other characters who aren't from that movie into the movie without making it feel forced. Like, they're just a natural part of the world that's going on, because that's what it feels like. You know, Punisher's in New York. So many of these fucking guys in Marvel are in New York. Like, it would make sense that they'd work together on some things, especially for Spider-Man, who multiple times in this movie he's stating that he's working on, so they call it small potato shit in this movie. He's working on, you know, street level shit this whole movie. Punisher also street level guy. They would clash a lot because they're working on the same things. And yeah, they incorporated him in a great way. Like, genuinely, I love seeing the relationship they had together, especially when it was clear towards basically the whole movie, you know, Peter Parker was alone, and Punisher in a way was like, I wouldn't say it's all he had in terms of where he was relying on him, but it was good to see him have that connection with somebody who's, you know, also doing the same thing that he's doing, somebody else who he could talk to about this kind of thing. And even though they didn't really do it, they didn't, like, you know, have a heart to heart or anything, just that relationship they had, I know it probably helped him. But yeah, so Punisher was great. I loved his incorporation in this movie. Zendaya, MJ also did a really good job in this movie too, in terms of how they fit her into the movie. I like that they didn't have a definitive end for her character. Like, they didn't get back together, and like, even though she rejected him, that was before like everything that happened after. She rejected him towards the middle of the movie, then the whole rest of the movie happened. I feel like, you know, she kind of started to see him in a different way after they hung out together with Ned again, and after all this shit happened and she got frozen in time or whatever, blah blah blah. So it's not like there's an open, or it's not like a closed ending for her character. Like, she could get back together with him, or she could not. I honestly kind of hope they don't, just because, I don't know, more differences in the Spider-Man movies. I don't know. I wouldn't be mad if they do or if they don't, but I'm glad in this movie they didn't just like, yep, they're back together. She knows what happened now. She knows she forgot about him, but she still has like zero recollection of who he is. So obviously it's not like some Hollywood magic here where they're gonna fucking fall in love again. All the scenes that they shared were very touching. Especially, I mean, it was just so good after rewatching all the movies to see these characters, Ned, MJ, and Peter Parker, grown up, you know, not being kids. And I'm so glad that they got to go to MIT and have like the ending that they wanted, or not the ending, you know, the beginning in a way that they wanted. The other character worth mentioning, Sadie Sink played Jean Grey. I had a few problems. I like Jean Grey, but I did have a few problems with the character. For one, yeah, she had a motive for being the villain. I liked, honestly, I really liked before they revealed who she was. The mystery element to it was very fun, and it was really well done. You know, you had this character who's, you know, hopping through minds, and it was honestly really cool sequences with her just like hopping through different people's minds, because every time somebody gets jumped into, they like stumble. So like when she's hopping through people's minds, you just see a row of people like stumbling like that, and it was really visually cool. But then Spider-Man, you know, how do you take on an enemy who could be anybody? And you can't hurt these random fucking people. So how does he take it on? It was a good dilemma that they introduced into the movie. And on top of that, she figures out who Peter Parker is, which I thought was honestly done really well too, because then she knows all the shit about him that she could use against him. Like, yeah, he's been alone, so nobody else could get hurt, but she found the letter that he wrote to MJ, so she knows she has some kind of relationship with MJ, Peter Parker. And the scene where she takes over MJ and she kisses Peter Parker, and then she's like, oh, I remember you, is one of the best scenes in that movie. Like, I didn't realize at all she was being mind controlled at all. Like, when the whole theater too, that was a great theater experience. The theater was packed. I've never seen the theater this packed. When MJ kissed Peter Parker and he started crying in her fucking arms, dude. This scene was tragic. Like, he started crying in her arms, and he's like, oh, you don't know how hard it's been, you don't know what it means. And all of a sudden she's like, fuck you, bitch, I'm not MJ. That scene was crazy. Like, what a fucked up thing to do for this character. And even Peter's like, it's like you don't know, like, if you knew what I'd been through, what you just did was so unbelievably fucked. Because it was, but that's what makes a good villain, right? That scene was amazing, genuinely an amazing scene. It even had me sold, had the theater sold, and when it didn't happen, I was just like, fuck, man, like, yeah, that's crazy. The problem I have with Jean Grey's character is, and maybe I'm wrong about this, you know, maybe I am wrong, and if I am wrong, you know, I'll say that I'm wrong, but I feel like they wanted you, the movie writers, whatever, they wanted you to sympathize with this character, because her backstory is, you know, she had a sister with the same power as her, and this agency, the Damage Protection Control, I can't remember what they were called, something like that. Damage, whatever. Let's just call them Damage Protection. No, let's call them Damage Control. Damage Control, you know, took her sister and experimented on her until she died. And because they wanted to be able to duplicate her powers, and then that's why they want to go after Jean Grey, so that they could experiment with her and also get her powers, because they never got her sister's powers, which they have the same powers. And yeah, you know, Damage Control, incredibly fucked up corporation for this, for sure. Like, unbelievably fucked, especially the main guy in charge of it. I can't remember what his name was. Yeah, he's a piece of shit. Don't get me wrong, that guy's the real villain. She's still a villain, though. I feel like the movie wanted you to sympathize with Jean Grey, but I could not sympathize with her even a little bit. Like, yeah, she's been through some fucked up shit, but what she did in return was pretty bad, you know, like taking control. Like she didn't only, like, yeah, she was, her main aggression was directed at damage control, but she took over so many people's fucking bodies to get this shit done, which that alone is fucked. Imagine just like you're just chilling, all of a sudden you blink and you're somewhere else and you don't know what just happened. She ruined fucking Bruce Banner. Like, oh my god, I could go, the list goes on for the fucked up shit she did this movie. And I'm gonna name them all. Bruce Banner, who's had this like, because yeah, the Hulk is in this movie. He's not in there too much as you would think he would be based on the promo, but he's in there, and he's been suppressing the Hulk for so long. Obviously, he doesn't want this bitch to come out, but she fucking controls him, and she brings out the Hulk. That, you know how fucking bad that is for him. Like, this movie really sold me on the idea that like Bruce Banner just is so scared of himself and the Hulk, because when he's turning to the Hulk, he's like, fuck, he's like, please don't let this shit happen. And like when it's over, he wakes up and he's like, oh my, what did I do? You know what I mean? Like it's like a fucking alcoholic relapsing. Like she made an alcoholic relapse basically with that shit, but worse, because she could have destroyed the whole fucking city if Spider-Man hadn't stopped them. So that's number one fucked up shit she did. On top of that, she's jumping into all these people's minds. That's kind of fucked, but that's not like, you know, I'm not going to even include that, but you know, if you want to go there, we could go there. She did that whole thing with Peter Parker, with MJ, like toying with him like that, seeing this character, what he's been through, where he's at right now because of the sacrifice that he made to have people forget him, and then she does that. Like, are we serious? That's fucked. That is so bad. Like, I could not imagine what he felt in that moment. Like, he literally started crying in her fucking arms, dude. He was crying in her arms, and then she's like, psych, bitch, guess what? I ain't MJ. That was crazy, dog. That's so fucked. So that's two things right there. I can't tell if they wanted you to think that she didn't kill anybody or not. Like, I don't think she directly killed anybody in her body, but I could have sworn there's a scene where like she takes over the Punisher. That 100% happens, and they break into the vault, you know. And I swear to God, while she's in control of the Punisher, she shoots two guys. So she killed guys right there. I'm pretty sure she killed other times in the movie too, in other people's bodies. I just can't remember directly, because then later in the movie, you know, Peter Parker's like, you're not a killer, but I'm like, did she not? You could correct me if I'm wrong. I swear to God, she took over the Punisher and killed two guys in that vault, but I could be wrong. But I'm adding that to the list too. She's killing guys. So she's fucking killing guys. She's like destroying the city in the process of this. Could have obliterated the city with the Hulk, made Bruce Banner relapse basically, did that incredibly fucked up thing to Peter. Like, I don't feel any sympathy for this character. Like, yeah, you guys, like, don't get me wrong, the damage, protect, control, they're fucked for what they did to your sister and your family, but what you did in return, Sucka, what you did in return is fucked. Like, I hope you get locked up, but she, you know, she doesn't get locked up. So I think the movie, like, they show you this backstory and they want you to feel for this character. Maybe they don't. Maybe that's the point. She's a flawed character. I think in a way that is the point. I just feel no sympathy for this character at all, which I feel like they wanted you to feel. So a lot of the emotional moments don't really land for me with her, because I'm just like, okay, but you did all this shit in retaliation. Like, I can't really forgive what you did just because some shit happened to you in the past, man. Some shit happened to Peter too. Some shit happens to like damn near every fucking character in these fucking movies. And then the other thing is, like, when I walked out of the movie, I thought the way they defeated her was kind of stupid, but I was thinking back to it, and I actually don't mind the way that she got defeated. I'll explain it real quick. She gets defeated, like, there's a scene, I think it was a really good, what do you call it? It's not like a scene that gets done, repeated multiple times. I don't know what it's called in movies, but I think there's something like that, where inside Peter's mind, every time she goes in Peter's mind, there's this memory that he has where he's sitting in his room and he's talking to Aunt May, and she's saying, things are getting scary, you know, you have powers. And Peter responds, he's like, you know, I get it, things are already pretty scary. She's like, no, I don't think you have any idea how scary things are gonna get. And you get the little beginning clip when she goes into his mind at the beginning, and then he remembers some of it right before his mutations start popping off. I don't think you know how scary things are gonna get. You get to that point, and then at the end of the movie, because the point of the movie is she couldn't hop into his mind ever, but then she gets really strong, and at the end he's like, okay, go into my mind. And she basically gets beat because she has a conversation with Aunt May in his mind, or not a conversation, Aunt May's the memory. She relives the memory in Peter Parker's shoes, and Aunt May's just like, the memory of Aunt May talk no jutsus her out of it, basically. And it's like, when it first happened, I was like, okay, that's kind of fucking stupid. You're telling me like she got beat because she went into his mind and listened to Aunt May's whole like 2-minute speech, and then she was like, fuck, you know what I'm doing is wrong. But I think I get what it was trying to say now, it wasn't just Aunt May. It was like Peter was saying, like, you hop into my mind, you know, see what I've been through. You know, she hops in his mind and she sees that he's lost Aunt May. He's lost Tony Stark, two mentor figures in his life. All his friends forgot about him. His lover forgot about him. She sees all that and she sees how he's dealt with it and he hasn't done all this bullshit in return. And she sees that and she's like, okay, you know what? I'm wrong here. I think that's what they were trying to do. It wasn't just like she went into his mind and got talked no jutsu by Aunt May, which is how I took it, because that's what they show. And I think if that's all it was, it's stupid. But I think you got to look deeper than that. It's not just Aunt May talked to her, it's she saw what Peter went through because he led her into his entire mind, and that's just how they represented it with the Aunt May conversation. But I actually think that is a fine way for that character to give up on her motive, you know, and especially after Peter takes a bullet for her right after, you know, because he's like, you have me, and then he immediately convinces her of that because he takes a bullet for her and almost dies. I feel like people might have some problems with the way that ends for that character, the way she's like gets talked out of her motive. But it makes sense once you think about it, at least in my opinion, that it wasn't just getting talked out of it. It was she saw everything Peters went through and how he dealt with it. I want to briefly mention the soundtrack and cinematography this movie had. Soundtrack, like, yeah, they chose some good songs. There's a Tim and Paul song there from like his newest album that was kind of cool. I didn't really love his newest album. Whatever, that's not the point of this shit. I'm talking about the actual like soundtrack they made for the movie, not the songs they chose. There was a great song in there, like that, like a very ambient synthy track that gets played throughout the movie, especially towards the end, that I thought was really good. I love the direction. I feel like so many movies lately have this like synthy, atmospheric soundtrack going on. Like Obsession had it. I just saw another one. I can't remember what it also had it. This movie has it, and I loved it. Like, it just sets the tone. And one thing I loved about No Way Home, I love No Way Home, but I had a lot of problems with that movie. One thing I do love about that movie is that there are so many beautiful shots. You know, after Aunt May dies in No Way Home, you get the shot of him walking through New York at night in the rain, and there's that big J. Jonah Jameson TV in front of him. There's some beautiful shots in that movie, like genuinely beautiful. This movie also has some beautiful shots in it. I don't know if it reaches the same highs as No Way Home, but it gets really close in terms of visual cinematic shots. You pair it with the soundtrack and that makes a great combination. Also, you know, people have been asking for the street level Spider-Man, and yeah, I was also one of those guys, you know, street level Spider-Man, let's get that shit. No world ending event, no fucking, what's it called, dimensional shift or some bullshit, and you got it here. This movie is honestly like everything I could have wanted from the Spider-Man movie and more. I'm so happy with how this movie turned out. I hate, like, when I walked into this movie, I literally told myself, I was like, I'm gonna walk out this movie and I'm not gonna say it's the greatest shit of all time unless I genuinely feel that way. And I genuinely feel like I might change my mind in a week because I have a recency bias, you know, it's a problem. But I thought about it, I compare it to every Spider-Man movie so far, every live action one, and I genuinely think it's the best live action Spider-Man movie. And here's why, right? I think I love all the live action Spider-Man movies, but I think they all have problems. There's not a single one that is perfect. And even if you look back at some of the best ones, you know, before this movie, Spider-Man 2 was probably number one. I think my order for Spider-Man movies would be, and like I said, I just rewatched them all. So like this is fresh off the dome. My ranking of all live action Spider-Man movies are Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 1, No Way Home, Homecoming, TASM 2, Far From Home, TASM 1, Spider-Man 3. That's what it was before this movie. I think I got everything in there. The only movie in there that I truly hate is Spider-Man 3. I fucking hate Spider-Man 3, but whatever. That's what the movie's right. And you look at number one, Spider-Man 2 for me is like the lightest 9 out of 10 I could give. I love that movie. It has problems, and the way it's aged has introduced new problems as well for me. You know, I'm not gonna pick apart like a movie that, like I said, I love this movie. I love this movie. Everybody loves this movie. I love this fucking movie. It has problems. All the MJ shit in that movie sucks. MJ's like kind of a bitch in those movies. Like she's I think she cheats on like 3 people or some shit in that movie. I don't like, she's not worth all this shit. Peter Parker is not very good in that movie as Peter Parker. He's just, like I said, he's so overly done in terms of how awkward he is. It's almost comical. I can't take him seriously. It doesn't really feel like a comic book turned into like what I want to see now from comic book movies is I want them to feel like comic books, you know. And I get that wasn't a concern back then, but it is a concern now that I feel like a lot of people have, including me. And that movie doesn't really feel like a comic book turned into a movie. It has the cinematic quality to it. It feels like they didn't like shit all over the comics and be like fuck this shit, but they didn't like I feel like they didn't go out of their way. They didn't take that extra step to make it really feel like a comic book turned into a movie. There's tons of, you know, I could nitpick tons of little things about it that bring it down from the perfect movie it could have been. And even a light 9, it could be like a strong 8 too for me. I love the movie. Like I said, it's not perfect. It has problems. And the further you get down the list, the more problems are introduced. Like No Way Home. I love No Way Home, but that's, for me, that was the best Tom Holland movie, the best Tom Holland Spider-Man movie until Brand New Day. I love No Way Home. I have tons of problems with that movie as well. Like, it's kind of a cameo fan service fest. It feels like the first half of that movie is just like, oh, we got this villain from this movie, now we gotta go get him. We got this villain from that movie, gotta go get him. I'm something of a scientist myself. Like, it's so in your face just how fucking much nostalgia bait they put in that movie. Like, they're saying quotables from the other movies, and there's some incredible things in that movie. Look, I'm not shitting on these movies. I love these movies. No Way Home is number 3 for me. I love No Way Home. I love what they did with Aunt May's death scene and the way that the other 2 Spider-Men were incorporated in there to help him because he needed a mentor figure, and in comes, you know, these 2 alternate versions of himself. But that movie has problems. There is not a single, like, massive problem that I could say about this movie. If anything, I feel like they took a lot of the problems every movie has had since 2002, Spider-Man 1, and they improved upon them. You know, they didn't have any of the problems that the Tobey Maguire movie had, so I didn't really like how Peter Parker was in those movies. And they had problems balancing multiple things, obviously, in Spider-Man 3. And they didn't have that exact comic book feel that I would want them to have. And they didn't have any of the problems from any of the previous Tom Holland movies or the Andrew. I'm not going to go over all the problems, you know? I feel like they improved upon every problem that was present. And they didn't perfect everything, but they at least acknowledged them. They took the best parts of those movies, all of them, and they put them into this movie, and they found a way to improve upon them so you only have the best parts and you don't have the bad shit. You know, you have the best Spider-Man portrayal before this was Andrew Garfield, in my opinion, and this one comes pretty close. Like, he's really good at Spider-Man in this movie. To me, across every Spider-Man live-action movie, there's not a single one where I think Peter Parker was done excellently. Like, I have a problem with Peter Parker in every movie, the way he's portrayed. I'm not going to go over it again, but I do have a problem with different problems with every actor's version. This is probably the best Peter Parker we've seen in live action so far. They managed to balance all the villains in a way that feels not forced, you know? They have a world that feels comic booky and alive. The action scenes are creative, and there's a lot of cool, like the scene when he's fighting the hand. I love the fight with the hand, the way they're all like climbing on each other, and he does that one move where he does this shit with his wrist and he's spraying like spirals of webs. It's amazing. Man, I really hope I don't, like, in a week I'm like, actually this is not the best live action Spider-Man movie. But this movie, I genuinely think right now, and I think I don't see any reason why I changed my mind, because I try to logically look back at each movie and compare them. That's live action. I genuinely feel like this is the best one. This movie is amazing. It's everything I wanted from a live action Spider-Man movie. I was having a conversation with my friend before I watched this movie, because, you know, we both really like Spider-Man. We were both watching the live action ones in preparation, and I was like, yeah, you know, I really love these movies, but I don't think there's a single one that is perfect, or not even perfect, that doesn't have like a giant flaw somewhere in between. The closest you get being Spider-Man 2. And he agreed with me. He's like, yeah, you know, all these movies have flaws. And you know, you compare it to something like Batman. I love Batman. Is probably my favorite hero. I've got how many fucking Batman comics are here? There's a lot. I love Batman, and I've watched all the Batman movies. I feel like when you look back at the Batman movies, you have a lot more movies that don't have blatant flaws in them. Like, you have a lot of bad ones too. You at least have movies like The Dark Knight and The Batman, and even Batman Begins for me. Those 3 movies are incredible to me, and they have problems, but I wouldn't say, but they're almost better than their problems. Like, their highs in those movies are so unbelievably high for me personally that I won't overlook the problems, but they're not going to bring it back that much. Especially, you know, like, you could make the argument for The Dark Knight, like, oh, Batman is too grounded. I agree, you know, but that's kind of what they're going for that movie, the grounded Batman feel. Why am I talking about Batman? I'm talking about fucking Spider-Man. Might as well mention a couple of my favorite scenes from the new movie. That scene with MJ where she was being possessed and, you know, they kissed and then she revealed she wasn't MJ. That was an incredible scene. Like, genuinely had me shocked. basically all the scenes with MJ, the Punisher, and Peter Parker in the Punisher's hideout, I thought were great. Like, I really loved all those scenes. The scene where Spider-Man, MJ, and Ned are building Legos was also really cool. It felt like such a great moment. Seeing Black Widow, you know, and in a way that didn't feel forced. Like, that wasn't like one of the best scenes of the movie or anything, but I was glad to see her there. You know, it just made the world feel that much more like living and breathing and alive. I love that shit. The fight with the hand, I thought was amazing. Like, just the way the hand is like climbing over each other throughout that whole fight. I love that shit. And then Peter Parker does that little move there. That shit was amazing. I could just keep naming scenes. I really did like this movie. I'm just so I was on such a high watching this movie. Just everything I wanted done properly. It feels like after this I'm gonna go see what other people have said about the movie. I feel like I really like, what could be like, I'm trying to think what could the main problems of this movie be. I named some of them. A lot of them for me, like I said, had to do with Jean Grey. I really don't know. Like, maybe, yeah, they could have spent a little more time on a couple more characters, like the damage control guy. Also, there's a statement in the movie where it's like, it's revealed that damage control is like anti-Spider-Man guns, and it's supposed to be like this big kind of like shocking moment. Like, look, they even have anti-Spider-Man guns. They're ready to turn on you on any second. Like, okay, is that so bad? Like, don't get me wrong, they're fucked up. The damage control people, they're fucked. But like, they're not fucked because they had anti-Spider-Man weapons. Like, they were ready in case he turned on them. Like, that's not that crazy. I feel like that's valid. Like, there's that fucking Batman comic that everybody's always like, oh, Batman had the contingency plans for all the Justice League members. And I feel like people are usually like, yeah, he's in the right for that. Like, they're in the right for having that. Like, what if Spider-Man got mind control or something, or turned evil or some bullshit? Like, they gotta be ready for that shit. Fucked up corporation, but that wasn't really a bad thing that they did, in my opinion. Yeah, but anyways, like I said, problems, I can't, like, every Spider-Man, I keep reiterating the same point, but it's because I genuinely feel every Spider-Man movie, live action, has a problem, has problems, but sometimes the movies are just so good that the problems don't bring it down that much. But this one didn't have any massive problems for me. There's like little nitpicks here and there, and, you know, low problem here, low problem there, blah blah blah, but overall there wasn't anything to like really pull it back. You know, maybe thinking back to it now, it wouldn't have hurt to have a more memorable villain. Like, the villain role in this movie is split between Jean Grey and the damage control thing, and it's like kind of trying to say, like, you know, Jean Grey isn't the real villain. She's just like had some fucked up shit done to her and she's retaliating, and damage control, I guess, is the real villain. But like, in terms of how this movie's going to be remembered, like, what do I remember about the best Spider-Man movies? I remember Doc Ock being a great villain in Spider-Man 2, right? I remember, I didn't like Far From Home very much, but I remember Mysterio. I thought he was a great villain. Just having a memorable villain really helps a movie, like, how it will age. And I think kind of having this split villain thing where you have Jean Grey, where she's not really the full villain, but then you have the damage control, who, like, what they did was fucked, but they are kind of trying to help in a way. Like, yeah, I think they took it way too far with getting her powers. And if they're meant to be the main villain of the movie, then nobody's gonna remember, like, oh yeah, remember damage control? Like, yeah, that was a great villain. Spider-Man Brand New Day, hell yeah, Doc Ock and damage control. That's fucking right. Like, I think this movie's gonna age, and people are gonna be like, the villain maybe could have been more memorable. Maybe could have just been like one guy. But there's plenty of Spider-Man villains to pick from. They could have just done something like that. I don't know. That's kind of how I'm thinking about it right now, but we'll see. It's just a satisfaction, you know, finally seeing the world being alive, the comic book feeling, Peter Parker being grown up, fully being Spider-Man, finally in this universe. It's amazing. It's amazing. I'm so happy. I really am so happy. So I think I'm ending the video saying, for me, the movie's a 9 out of 10. I really liked it. It's my favorite live action Spider-Man movie so far. And if I change my mind, I'll make another video, but I don't think I'm going to change my mind because I feel like it's that strong of a movie. Fuck, man, I kind of just want to keep talking about it. I'm not, because I've been talking for 40 minutes now, but what a day to be alive, huh? I'm gone.